Listening to Paradigm Shift Radio is like downloading upgrades for the spirit itself. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 94 of Paradigm Shift Radio. This episode was a free-flow fractal conversation group discussion in which we welcomed on numerous members of the community to practice sharing their thoughts and ideas related to a variety of topics, such as health and exercise practice, nutrition, deja vu, shifty stuff, dream exploration, and more. Help share Paradigm Shift Radio with people you know as a tool to plant seeds and spark inspiration. Get involved with future episodes and be sure to continue the conversation further where you are. Be inspired, be involved, and enjoy the flow. One love. Attention, fellow humans. This just in, breaking news. Sunsets are incredibly beautiful. And so is Paradigm Shift Radio in a very awesome way, which is what you're tuned into right off the bat. This is Skull Babylon, aka Brendon Wolfshield Colton, and you're tuned in for another exciting episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. Of course, shout out to everybody. We got 13 users in the live chat. That's a good number. I can work with that. And of course, we always have way more people who are actually just listening and not in the live chat. So shout out to everybody who's tuned into this, even if you're all the way in the future in a metaphysical sense. Once you get to listening to this after it's live, which is still awesome also. So, of course, tonight on the show, this is going to be a free-flow conversation. Sorry, let me correct myself. A free-flow fractal conversation. And what I'd like to get out of this is just like more people calling in. We're gonna build up a circle of at least this is something we'll have to decide upon. At least like 5 people at a time. And then we can rotate people in and out of that, but sort of get like a good thing going. And Michael Brazel, he has been on the show numerous times in the past. He's also going to help not necessarily moderate, but he's going to join us, helping just co-host, as we all are with this conversation circle. So this is us practicing coming back into around the fire pit, like around the fireplace, that watering hole, whatever you want to think of this as. We've talked about this recently on the show, but evidently that's something that the show can be. It's something where it's just like, cool, sweet, once a week. Like, I know where Paradigm Shift Radio is going to be. Like, maybe I'll be there too. And if you are, then it's awesome because you're going to hear about super amazing things. And I'm intending, the intention is out there, the ping has been sent that our good buddy Alon and Avi and also Oz will get the opportunity to call in. I sent them, like, that's the thing, those are our guys who are doing their love trip. And that's an amazing thing. And they got a new funding page up that I'm going to link you guys into, which is gofundme.com/golovetrip. And you'll find a link for that also, because there's going to be a new video that I'm uploading pretty much after the show and between the hangout. And it's going to be the free hugs video of them when they were in London, and sort of like the journalism video that I did of that, which of course you can also find, as many of my other videos are, up at Skull Babylon on YouTube, youtube.com/Skull Babylon. So just throwing those links into the live chat. And yeah, it'll be cool. The like just hearing where they're at, what shifty things they have been getting themselves into. Because when you're doing a love trip and you're going across country and you're you're riding the winds, you're into the winds. That is like when you have that opportunity to just like see what the universe brings your way. You'll meet some incredibly awesome people along the way, which is always a very exciting thing, because I like to think there's a lot of, if you're listening to this show, that qualifies you as awesome. That's a known fact. So shout out to all the awesome people. And there's a lot that I could just fill you guys in on, just in like stuff that's been stuff Skull Babylon's been doing, so to speak, which may end up actually being the name of like just some new YouTube videos that you'll see when the time is right. You'll see. But before this, like, just in the sense of promoting exercise, part of like, not that we were behind on the show or anything today, but just like part of the reason that I was getting in late myself was just because I was like out in the nearby field near my house, like the park, the school area, and just like exercising, moving around, getting my body going, and also just like practicing for myself, by myself with a soccer ball, just kicking it around and stuff. So I encourage you to get fit with me. So that's another thing. Yeah, there might be we'll see. Actually, that would be we'll stick with it. The idea of actually, it'll be a surprise. How about that? You'll find out when it happens. Anyways, I'm going to bring Michael Brazel onto the show, and if anybody wants to add me, if you haven't added me yet, just You can do that, facebook.com/skullbabylon. And I encourage other people, if you want, you can share your, I mean, I can't stop you. You can share your profile link anytime during the show, but generally we'll wait till the end to see who's around. But feel free to share your profile anytime if you want people in the live chat to add you. And there's 15 people. The numbers are growing. The ripple is getting out there, right? Like, the more users I can count in the live chat, that's a sign to say, like, hey, you know, like, people are finding this, and people are finding out again about the awesome stuff that's going on. And one thing, if you guys remember last week on the show, I put out the objective to give people the objective to say, like, do 5 quote unquote shifty things between this week, like this last show and this show. So I'm curious to hear what people got into. As for myself, only shortly after, like within the on the Monday afterwards, I hung out with Alon and Avi and Oz again, and we just like did stuff. They were filming from their angle, I wasn't filming from my angle, and we got into all sorts of shifty stuff that day. It was pretty cool because we were doing free hugs downtown, you know, like that's the thing, we were all getting in on it, so it was pretty awesome. But if we get them on, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that more. But for now, the objective from here, okay, so everybody listening in, if you guys want to get in this fractal free flow conversation, which I'm inviting you to, if you want to be able to practice talking about consciousness in the universe and what we're going to do, we're going to sort of see how like different themes will lead us into other themes, opposed to just sitting on one theme throughout the show. We're going to see where the conversation flows to in a very fractal way, as this is the experiment. So we'll see how it works out. But I invite anybody who wants to be a part of this, which is you, I know it is, to call into the show now, and we're going to get it, like I said, at least 5 people in this circle. We'll see what we can work with. So call into the show through Skype, call into the show through a regular phone if you got to do that, and press 1 to queue up, and we'll know for sure. But you can call in. Again, I'll just post a link into the live chat, or not even the link, just the phone number. I mean, if people are just calling in with their phone just for a bit, even, like, that's so cool too. So I encourage you to do what works for you. But call in at 347-539-5493. Again, 347-539-54. Oh wait, did I miss a digit? Yeah, I missed a digit, and this is a 93. I missed a digit when I copy and pasted it into live chat. That's what I did. So anyways, I encourage other people to call in, so it's not just me and Michael, which of course it won't be. It'll be all of us. And Michael's always got interesting stuff to talk about. And you can find him at another blog talk show, which he can tell you about. So with that said, I'm going to bring Michael Brazel onto the show, and we are just like introducing ourselves and waiting for more people to call in. So yeah, the more people who call in, and that's the thing, right now there's me and Michael and looks like one other person. All right, okay, here they come. Callers are coming in now. All right, so we're going to get rolling here with Paradigm Shift Radio, and of course, ParadigmShiftCentral.com. Quick reminder, if you want to get in on the button draw that we'll do later, send your message to Facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio now, and of course, ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons to get all your button goods there. So with that said, bringing Michael Brazel onto the show. So Michael, if you're ready, here we go. Hello. Michael Brazel. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, man.
What's going on?
Having a good time, as per usual. You know how it is.
Yeah, so. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. Sweet. Well, with that said, how's it going on your end, man? Like shifty stuff? Like what's the shift looking like from your perspective?
The shift is shifting.
You don't say.
It's just shifting. Yeah, it's interesting. This area, you know, compared to DC, South Carolina is a much slower pace, but people are still doing their shifty thing here. And I've started teaching meditation classes at a local yoga studio. So that's kind of a new thing that's been going on. But just talking to people and getting my blogs up and just, you know, enjoying life a little bit. I think when we live fast-paced lives like I did in D.C., we don't get to enjoy things like quietude and nature and silence. So it's been, like, nice being able to do some of that away from the city environment. So people out there in the cities, get out into nature, get into some quiet places so you can get inside your head a little bit more.
Which is exactly what I was having fun with, again, just before I came here. Because that's what I did. I was like, oh, yeah. I was playing with, like, a soccer ball. I was just kind of, like, juggling it and stuff. And it was just, I've done a lot of just playing around with just making up my own games as part of my exercise. And that's something I encourage other people to do. Like, you don't have to, like, go to the gym and use, like, these, like, dumbbells and just, like, machines to lift weights. You can just do it just by, like, juggling a ball, like juggling one ball at a time, and just moving your body and creating like a flow out of it, sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I like doing yoga outside because you don't have the restriction of the roof above you. You actually have the earth beneath you, and you're tuning yourself in and harmonizing with nature instead of just like harmonizing yourself with a class full of people or a static room. You're in an ever-changing space, so it affects your practice more.
Cool, man. Well, we got a couple other people who we can bring onto the show.
Cool.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna bring them on. We got callers from area code 727 and caller from area code 512. So we're gonna bring on caller from 727 onto the show first. And again, just inviting a couple more people. Like as we get people, we'll just be able to bring them on. And again, just reminding people what we're doing here. This as the conversation gets rolling, if you guys have stuff that you want to talk about, stuff related to like lucid dreaming, if you want to talk about like any sort of really psychedelic stuff, so to speak, and not just in the terms of like entheogens, but psychedelic in the terms of just like the ways we perceive reality, like even just synchronicities, even just like glitches in the matrix, if you want to use like that, and the whole thing is very interesting, or just observations that you've had of reality that you feel that you can share that will help others, that will help all of us, that will help like the collective begin to start to see like a better picture of it, and just like it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what we can build out of this. So, going to bring on caller from 727 onto the show. So, caller from 727, if you're ready, bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go.
Hello,
caller. Welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio.
Hey, Skull, it's Adriano from St.
Cool,
Pete,
man.
Florida.
Yo, man. Good. Welcome back. Good to hear you back on the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool, man.
All
right.
I just got back from a Qigong conference that was really, really incredible and amazing.
Dope, man. Give us like the report.
Oh my God, there's so much to speak about. But it kind of goes along with this line of practicing outside and breathing and moving and exercising. So there was about 1,000 people there. It's through Supreme Science Qigong, and this main guy, his name is Jeff Primack, and they're actually going to be in Asheville, North Carolina on March 22nd through the 25th, and it's $150 for like a 4-day conference, and really, really big life-changing event, man. Like we had a 5-course meal on a Friday night, all really, really healthy, like empowering foods. He has a book called Cooking with Chi, and all about this like healthy eating that'll help you, get that digestive fire and help you improve your metabolism and just lead a healthier life. And then the next 2 days were spent doing Qigong exercises and also learning more about food healing. So just really, really phenomenal, huge shifting, life-changing event. So I'm really glad I can bring back this knowledge and share it with you guys tonight, because it was just like perfect timing. I got home right at 8 o'clock, and thank God my favorite radio show is coming on at 9. So I'm really glad to be on the call tonight.
Right on, man. Awesome. Welcome.
Yeah.
Just stick around, and we'll bring on more callers. And like anything that you feel that you've sort of picked up from the conference, we can like integrate it and weave it into the conversation. But yeah, I'd like to hear more in a little bit. So, Adrian, if you don't mind, we'll just bring on another caller. And, again, I invite people who are just listening to the show, because after this caller, there's nobody else in the queue. So we're still looking to fill at least one more spot, and then we're just going to continue to see how this conversation flows around. So inviting anybody else to call in, either just regular phone line or just through Skype. And again, if you are doing it through Skype, it's pretty straightforward. Just click the Skype icon, launch Skype, click OK, and you'll figure it out, I'm sure. So that's going to bring on caller from area code 512, and going to keep things flowing along here. And we'll just see how that goes. So caller from area code 512, if you're ready, bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello, caller.
Can you recognize who this is?
Who could this possibly
can you recognize who this is?
People who watch the Hangouts and are in the group can probably figure out who this is. Andy, do you got your speakers, or I'm just hearing feedback, or somebody's got feedback.
Oh, now you really got me. Gee.
Wait,
you really
is this
blew
Andy?
It
oh my goodness. I had no idea. All right, Andy.
Gee,
Andy, if you can fix your
recognize
sound,
my voice,
welcome.
Don't you?
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
There's only a few people who sound like Andy. Andy's one of them, so.
You got that one right.
Andy or whoever it is, try and fix your feedback.
I don't know about you guys, but
go ahead.
Yeah, I like you guys, but somehow when I was at this Buddhist center where it's actually a Plum Blossom Sangha, and I had this vision when I was meditating that there's this child came over to me and asked me, Andy, do you mind I give you a hug? And that's when I was like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, give you a hug, or what do you want me to do? And then he said, don't just hug me, give me a kiss also. And it turns out that when I give her a big kiss, and I was like, wait a minute, you look like the same girl that I met in a dream 2 years ago, aren't you? He said, yeah, hello. It's just really, really funny.
So wait, the girl confirmed for you that she was an abstraction of your dream somehow?
No, well, she was from the previous lucid dream that I met like 2 years ago. And she was an Irish with red hair on. I was like, I remember you, but like, how come you're here? Like, what do you want?
Interesting stuff,
and that's
Andy.
When I was like, she's like, okay, so what do you want from me? And then that's when she's like, I just want to be you and Andy, because seriously, I've been missing you out for a year. And that's when I was like, oh well, I guess I'll take the bait then. Give her a hug, and then next thing you know, she's like, disappeared. I was like, oh,
wait, okay.
Trouble again.
So this girl that you ran into her both times within separate lucid dreams?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because I had confused myself, and at one point I thought you were talking about it was like in real life, and then it's like, and then she disappeared. I was like, cool story,
it
Andy.
Like as though I meet a ghost.
Pretty much, yeah. I'd love to get some ghost stories, because that's what I'm, again, going back to the idea, if people are listening to this, you can almost visualize us sitting around a fireplace, so to speak. So in that sense, like, bring your stories to it. I mean, we're not always using it in quite a method, but if you have something to share, like now, in this circumstance, it would be a good time to do it. So, love to get more people on, and I think we have another person on.
And another thing is, I actually have a chance to actually make several qigong videos and several yoga exercises where some of the people in Paradigm Shift can be able to try and do them on your own, because seriously, I'm not joking. These stuff I read on several books. They said that those Tibetan poses are like they're like what do you call it? They're the right to immortality. You can age very slowly with those Tibetan yoga poses, but eventually, if you do them, like for example, me, I don't know about you guys, but I've been doing those stuff for only 2 months, and yet after a while, I felt like, oh my God, I only slept 4 hours, and yet I'm still chatting, laughing, and screaming at people all the time. It's like I went to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, and bam, people are like, Andy, it's too early for this. Stop chatting with me. And it happens, I don't know about you guys.
Go ahead, whoever. Yeah. So like things like yoga. I think that anytime you engage the physical body, like you're going to.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute Andy for a second.
Yeah.
Andy, make sure you can get your headphones in if you don't have headphones in. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so like anytime you do something like, qigong or yoga or martial practice or even just exercising, getting out, moving the body around, you're inviting the physical self into whatever your practice is. And it's something we sometimes overlook as, we engage the spiritual, but this body we in is our sacred temple, and it is the vehicle through which we experience this reality. So it's important to invite it in. So when you do things like yoga and you're moving energy through the body, you're allowing that connection to happen. You are harmonizing with your space through the vehicle of your body. So, you get things like, those psychic awareness, you get increased energy, you are healthier, you are able to move through your day with a little bit more grace. So don't forget the body. It's very important.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Adriano's got a lot to say on that.
Yeah, I'm like exploding with information here, so I'm trying to be very patient and not just like blab on for an hour about what I just went through.
Yeah,
but
all right, sorry, Adriano, before you get rolling on that, I'll say for all of us, myself included, as a reminder, just first of all, be more conscious of your speak. Like, just don't try to get into the ums. Instead of umming, simply pause. Try pausing. And then to be able to just like take the time to figure out what words you need to say next without sounding like William Shatner somehow. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is basically less words, more meaning. And all of us should be reminded of that. So, yeah, and that way more of us will have a chance to talk as well. So, but yes, Adriano, go ahead.
Okay, well, the first little section I want to segue into here, as he was saying, our body is our temple, and exercise and qigong and yoga are excellent practices. And one aspect of that is definitely nutrition. And I feel like I just downloaded a really, huge wealth of information on nutrition this past weekend. So one of the first key words I want to talk about are phytochemicals and what they are. So phytochemicals are chemical compounds that occur naturally in plants. These are things that are responsible for the color of plants and also some of the smells and just kind of, what makes fruits and vegetables unique in their own sense. So I want to just share a few examples of what these are and how can they benefit you. So, for example, ginger has a phytochemical called gingerol, which is kind of a funny name, not very unique, but the scientists were very straightforward when they named this. So gingerol is good for nausea. So a lot of people already know that, but it's kind of amazing to see that Western science has really pinpointed the actual chemical compounds that are in these foods that can specifically heal certain diseases. So this weekend, the teacher who was kind of training us was really, really big on phytochemicals. So I encourage everybody to kind of Google it, research it, and kind of explore that avenue. One other quick one I want to mention is mint that has menthol in it, which we're all well known. And I have a few other ones that I'll rattle off. I actually have an incoming phone call, so I'll be back on the line in just a moment.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Go ahead, man. Deal with it.
Yeah.
More immediate reality matters. All right, cool. All right.
Life always intercepts.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. All right. Well, I will say we got about almost 30 users in the live chat, which is good to see. And the way how just getting everybody on board, like I think what an effective way is, just based on the tactics of Facebook algorithms, is reposting the actual JPEG of the promo image itself, which is up at facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio, and doing that and posting that in groups you're in on your individual walls, opposed to just sharing it, because fresh image posts seem to be more capable of getting draws and hits on Facebook. Again, these are just like matrix reality trying to hack it, right? We're trying to get the best outcome instead of letting Facebook try and get us down. So we shall rise above the Facebook. Together we are unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? All right. But yeah, I'm sure, Michael, if you have anything you just want, Adriano will jump back on and we'll know when he's back. But Michael, and then we still got Andy, and I'd like to see who this other caller is actually. Okay, so we'll see if we can bring on this other. Okay, so caller who's I'll just double check. Caller who is on Skype, SPM126888, like that's their profile. Just press 1 on your keypad, in your Skype keypad for sure, but sometimes people don't hit that. So I'm going to try bringing them on in a minute just to see if that works. because sometimes they don't know whether or not they're in the queue or not. But anyways, Michael, go ahead, man. Just anything.
Yeah, so we'll just keep with the theme. Like, nutrition is something that's important to, be aware of and to pay attention to. It's something else that we typically don't do. A lot of us engage, our emotions through the place of reactivity, so we end up feeding ourselves things that are more comforting than things that are full of nutrition. So be aware of what you're reaching out for, because we're really feeding ourselves things on multiple levels. So if you're angry and you're eating those chips because you're angry, you're actually feeding yourself more anger. And typically after we do comfort eating or comfort feeding, then we have grief and guilt and all the other stuff that comes up. But pay attention to what you're putting into your bodies. It's one of those things we forget about. So like going outside and watching the sunset, getting away from your computers and experiencing things through the vehicle of your body, it's important. If we're engaging the spiritual life, it's the thing we can't forget, because it's what allows us to do things while we're still here until we transcend and move into the spiritual place, outside of our bodies. Then it's the vehicle we have to use. So treat it well. Eat good stuff.
For sure. And that totally is, even something for myself right now, just with my own adventure going on, I'm like at the point where I'm just giving more attention to consciously choosing to designate time towards physical activity and stuff, because it's just there's times where we sort of compartmentalize our energy. So if we can compartmentalize it towards exercise, especially during the summer, and it's just it brings more fruitfulness into our lives, I think. So yeah, just encouraging that for everyone. Yeah, get fit with Skull Babylon and Michael Brazel and the whole Paradigm Shift Radio team together. So, pretty much, right? But I'm gonna see if this caller on Skype, again, caller from Skype, SPM12688. I'm gonna try bringing you on now, and we'll just see whether or not they actually want to be brought on. And then we also got Andy. So, all right, caller on that Skype, SPM. I'm going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio, and we'll see whether or not that works. Here we go. Hello, caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, very, very lowly. It's very... Go ahead.
Okay, give me 1 second. Is that any better?
Only by a little bit. It sounds like you're super far away. Right, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
We'll just have to talk like this.
Yeah.
We just do smoke signals.
Through the internet, yes. Caller, go ahead. If we can hear you, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess it's so low. I'm trying to figure out.
If you can just talk loud like that, it'll be a bit better. And then, go ahead, please. So, okay. Caller, welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. Go ahead and please introduce yourself and where you're from and what you would like to bring to the show.
Well, awesome. Namaste, everybody. My name is Sherman. I am from Richmond, Virginia. And I just noticed that earlier we were talking about, staying active in the movement of energy, and how important also I think it is that, we not allow that energy to become stagnant, and we do have a good purposeful method of allowing that energy to flow, whether it be Qigong or yoga or, just exercise, but to allow that free flow of movement to stay, consistent in our lives.
Sure. Cool, man. Cool. Sherman, welcome to the show, man. Like you've been in plenty of the hangouts and stuff, so it's good to see you on Paradigm Shift Radio, man. Welcome.
Thank you.
Cool, man. Okay. Is there anything else you want to hit upon? Talking stick is still in your hand if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. No, that was just kind of it, actually, for the moment.
Cool. All right. Well, let's see again. Adriano, are you back? Just double checking. Is there an Adriano here? No, I don't think there is. All right, but we do have another caller who's actually just dropped on, caller from air code 407. We can bring them on shortly, but before we do that, let's check in with Andy. We'll see what Andy has to add, and hopefully Andy's found some headphones also. We'll go from there, and then at this point we'll have 5 people on. But we'll see what we can do and try and get that other caller on also. So, Andy, if you're ready, bring you back on to Paradigm Shift Radio. So, there we go. Hello, Andy. Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Andy, if you have anything to say,
good.
talking stick is being passed your way.
You think I have some something to say, aren't you? Oh, well, when it comes to the body, I personally have no idea because you guys touched on every single subject already. But in terms of recommending some seeds that I personally prefer, I would try to eat some chia seeds because that's what I eat every morning, along with some spirulina, chlorella, bananas, apples, strawberries. I mix them all into one giant a blender, and then bam, I got my breakfast for today.
Nice. Yeah, blenders seem to be a super practical thing if people can get into the hang of using those. Who else here uses a blender?
Yep, every day.
I use one.
Yeah.
It's actually
I use one. And I also have alkaline water in my house too, where I can just pour water into the blender, and bam, I already got something to drink.
Nice. Cool. Sorry, guys, I'm just still multitasking. But go ahead, Andy.
Well, all right, here's the thing. I want to ask you guys, how much, because from the last time I talked about physical activities, because I don't think this is anywhere much of an accident, but, how many of you guys been practicing yoga recently? Because I don't know about you, but, Sherman and I were talking about this yesterday, and I had to admit it, I don't know, what did I put myself into after doing all those yoga poses?
What do you mean? Because I teach
I'm talking about, because...
Explain what you're talking about.
You ever heard of the Fountain of Youth?
Yeah. What about it?
It actually started by this author. Yeah, he went to this Himalayan mountain and he met the Tibetan monks. They taught him how to do these yoga poses. It's called the 5 Tibetan Rites of the Fountain of Youth. And I don't know about you guys, but after 2 or 3 weeks, I looked at myself and I was like, wow, I don't even feel a bit anxiety, a bit depressed, or any of that. And that's what really got me really curious.
Hello?
Hello, Andy? Whoops.
Hey, do you still hear me?
Yeah, you're still there.
All right. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but after doing my yoga practice out in the sun for at least 2 weeks, and every day I just bake out in the sun for 2 hours, and I literally saw my behaviors just radically change. I have no idea.
When we start showing
up, anyone help me out?
When you start showing up to a practice like yoga or qigong, regardless of the style or the lineage you're connecting into, and we start moving into a practice, whether it be spiritual or physical, we start to change because we're moving stagnant energy, we're inviting in new energies, and things begin shifting within our experience. So it's like when you eat new food or you eat better food, you're changing the chemistry of your body, so things start to change. So sometimes the resistance to starting practices, it means when we start, everything has to change because you're changing the makeup of your experience. So when you practice a technique like the 5 Immortals, you are engaging the intention, but also the action to shift your experience into something greater. So that's where you start feeling like you have more energy, you start feeling more connected to things around you because you're harmonizing yourself to the external space. So your internal and external space are all moving in sync with each other. So it's a pretty powerful thing to do.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Michael. Yeah, here's the thing, Michael. You ever heard of the fact that whenever you do something, you always set an intention, and I don't know about you, but somehow every time whenever I do yoga, I always set an intention to do something 33 times.
Right.
And somehow I resonate with that number.
But yeah, I mean, you can do like the sun salutation 33 times. You can hold, you can do certain exercises for a certain sequence, but you get to build your practice how you want it, and that's a beautiful thing about when you step outside of some of the traditional practice and you do things the way you feel you're supposed to do it. And now you're doing a more intuitive practice, so it becomes your practice, and that becomes a very powerful way for you to harmonize your intention in with the intention of the practice. So you're moving energy, but you're also moving that intention. So if 33 is a powerful number for you, now you're actually bringing it into the physical world versus meditating on it or contemplating it. You're physically engaging that number, so you're inviting it into the tactile, which is a pretty powerful thing.
I want to second that.
Do you have anything?
What you just said about intuition in your practice. Sorry, guys, I just jumped back onto the line. But
Go ahead,
what
man.
you said about being intuitive and letting your body kind of flow and letting the practice unfold, I want to share my experience with that. I started with Qigong on the beach and outside in the sun, which I love to do, bare feet on the ground, kind of having that whole connection. And I started with really basic forms, kind of doing what I was taught. And I kind of just listened to my intuition and to my body. And the next thing I know, I'm doing like capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial arts, dancing style, and also kind of Muay Thai. And these styles just flowed from my Qigong practice. And I never thought in a million years that I would be practicing capoeira. I never thought that my body would be able to do it. And just using my intuition and just kind of feeling where the energy wanted to move, I'm doing these amazing, roundhouse kicks and handstand kicks and all these amazing things. So I really, really want to congratulate you for like speaking those words, because they're very, very true. If we kind of close our eyes and listen to our body and listen to where the energy wants to go, some really amazing things can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I'll just say like.
I don't know about you guys.
Go ahead, Andy.
I don't know about you guys, but somehow my body, when I try to listen to it for a while, it's almost like as though it just want to break out and just go smash a vase for a while. It's like so much energy in there.
Yeah, that's where all the Super Saiyans get it, man. Andy loves talking about Super Saiyans. I think a lot of us like talking about Super Saiyans. We could easily segue this conversation towards Dragon Ball Z. I don't see why not. So.
That's
yeah,
weird,
sure. Let's talk about how the number 33 can actually help you ascend beyond the Super Saiyan 3 then.
Yeah, you mentioned 33 earlier, and like that's a branch in itself that we could take, just the esoteric. Well, I would say real quick, the esoteric symbolism behind 33. One thing that I can pick up on is that there's actually 33 like vertebrae of the spine, which I think is like obviously what the Masons are also alluding to, which is the rising of the Kundalini up the spine from like root to crown sort of thing. That's what I pick up on the 33. What do you guys think?
Yeah, same here. In fact, do you guys notice something that whenever I do anything, even like my breath of fire and even like my sun salutation 33 times, somehow I got that chills up my spine. And even after doing a half moon pose for 8 breaths, and it literally changed.
I think 33 is awesome. It sounds like a double trinity. You could flip the threes around and make a infinity symbol and make a figure 8. So it's kind of like divine union. So 33 it's an interesting number, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, sorry guys, did anybody just get deja vu? Anybody?
I did not. But
yeah,
I'm glad you did.
I picked it up on that moment. I sort of like turned and I was doing something else on my laptop while you were talking about infinities and 33 and stuff. So nice. That was like a pretty obvious deja vu too. Which like deja vu is like a good discussion topic as well. Obviously, like for me, the basic thing that I pick up out of deja vu, or at least one thing that I've been told about that I resonate with, is the idea that it means you're in the right place at the right time. And then there's like other ideas, like the idea that we're catching up with ourselves. I talked about this in the last episode. So it's like the thing that we're associating the current moment with when we have a deja vu, we're like, hey, this feels familiar, like something, like what is that something? That something is like a memory of us like seeing into the future already, and memories can exist both in the past and the future, because I think memories are just like perceptions of anything outside the present now. if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that does.
I think because that made sense as I was saying it. So.
I definitely experience deja vu as premonitions. Like, I'll dream of something, and then like 3 months later, I'm in that moment, and I'm just like, oh, I dreamt about this for sure. And
Yeah.
I really like the way that you said, like, it could also be like a memory, like maybe in the like Akashic record space, that you're just like in tune to that record at that moment, and you kind of just realize like, oh, I'm just stepping into this memory. I think that's a pretty interesting way of saying it too as well.
Anybody else?
So I wonder how is it.
Go ahead, Andy.
Well, how is it different from clairvoyance? Because the thing is I also have something very similar when I know that my mom is about to move to another location. Like, this happens like 3 or 4 years ago. I remember that she decided that she can't handle this life in Texas anymore. She decided to move, and she wants to take me with her. I had the dream the last night, like the day before she decided to tell me about this, is that I already know that something bad is going to happen, because I envisioned an airplane flying above the ground, and I saw myself inside that plane. And when I asked her when I just go through my days, I found out that what the dream that I was having was actually true. She was thinking of moving. Like, you guys have any idea? Is that clairvoyance or is that deja vu?
That's
more like
up on data.
Yeah, that's a
picking
premonition.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
It's a precognition or premonition, so you're getting the awareness of an event before it happens. Clairvoyance is clear seeing, and sometimes you'll get those impressions through the visual means or through that mental means. So it translates it into imagery that you can see. And sometimes our intuition will imprint a certain event that is going to happen because it's on your timeline. So it imprints that situation or the awareness of that situation onto some place within your consciousness, so that when you show up to that point, then you have that deja vu experience, which happens through clairsentience, which is clear feeling. You typically feel deja vu through the body. You feel it. It's not something that you necessarily see, but it's something you feel. So it's I've showed up to this point, and now we tend to either be hypervigilant in that moment because it stops us, which is why when we see those sacred numbers like 1111 or 333, we stop for a second because it's grabbed us and pulled us into that moment. So that's sometimes how intuition can imprint those things on our consciousness. You know, give us a heads up.
But like, seriously, like, yeah, so like, how much intuition or how much of a pineal gland energy do you need in order to be able to experience this, you know? Because I already know that this is something that I experienced when I was a child already, like 4 years of age.
Everyone's born with intuition.
I wonder.
So.
That's an interesting question. I think it differs from individual to individual. I mean, our body chemistries are different for the most part. I mean, yes, there can be some general similarities between us, but I think each individual, the amount of energy they need to unlock their pineal gland is very unique to them, and it's a really it's their path that they would have to walk to unlock that. And there's definitely techniques and things that you can do to kind of influence it and to kind of line yourself up for a better opportunity of it happening. But I think it's pretty much unique for the individual, how much energy it takes to unlock.
Well, everyone's going to be different in how we connect into that space, because we're all going to choose different paths to get there. But what I find what limits us most when it comes to connecting to our intuition is how much we trust it. And trust is a very powerful catalyst into moving into that place of connection to our intuition, because you have to trust it. It's like when you first start off doing yoga or qigong, you're not necessarily trusting the movements. You're watching the instructor. You're listening. You're fumbling on the mat. You're falling. But eventually you sync up to the movements, and then at some point you don't even need a teacher. You're just doing the movements yourself, and that's your process in growing into intuition. you are learning to trust it. And anyone who's ever had a moment where they go, I knew I shouldn't have done this, that's because your intuition told you 20 steps ago, don't do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known not to do it if somebody didn't tell you 20 steps before not to do it. So everyone has the capacity to connect. Not everyone necessarily has the tools to trust it. And once we learn to work those tools and processes and techniques, we all can access it in the way that we need to for our purpose and path.
Yeah, I totally just kind of want to piggyback on that a little bit. I know, at least for me, before I actually got into the correct names, if you will, for everything, i.e. intuition, I just always would go with my gut. And I know, just for me, for the longest time, whenever you get that weird feeling in your stomach that, something's not right, 9 times out of 10, when I went against that and didn't listen to myself, that I would end up asking myself, why did I do this? I could quite literally feel like I shouldn't have done this, but I did it anyway.
Right. There's a really great book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, and it's a phenomenal book on primal intuition. And one of the things he says in the book that makes perfect sense is in the animal kingdom, the animals never go, it's probably nothing. But we do. We will talk ourselves into those experiences, and we'll talk ourselves, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to jump out this plane without a parachute and flap my arms because I saw it on YouTube, and it probably works. And we have this capacity to override our natural primal intuition. But when we learn to trust that deep thing within us, and we learn to trust that constant voice that's there helping to guide us through the experience, then we're able to connect to our true power and our birthright.
Mm-hmm. Very well said.
Indeed.
I'm actually going to follow my intuition right now. And I just want to jump back a little bit to these phytochemicals and list off a couple more foods, because just food is a really important part of this, part of a practice and part of aligning yourself to higher spiritual things, and how much food can help you along that process. So I'm just going to share a few more things that I learned. One of the main things we should do is to avoid burnt food. The burning of the food can, bring free radicals in. It can really harm your body. Here's some really great things for you. Squash is great. Squash warms you up and brings in that digestive fire, that high chi, which is really great. Let's see another one. Garlic. We all know garlic has a really, really strong potential. It has a raw phytochemical called allicin, which is a really cool name for it. It kind of reminds me of, I think Resident Evil or something had allicin in it. So garlic is great, but try to keep it as raw as you can. And I have one last one here I just want to share with you guys really quick. Cilantro. If nobody knows the healing power of cilantro, cilantro can really help get heavy metals out of you. And Jeff shared a story with us about how a college professor fed his students cilantro soup kind of as an experiment, and then he urine tested them afterwards, and they were pissing out mercury, excuse my French, but they were getting rid of mercury at insanely high levels. So cilantro is really, really beneficial for getting heavy metals out of your body, which can then help you unlock, your chakras and especially your pineal gland, because we don't want heavy metals inside of there messing us up.
Cool. Good practical information there, Adriano. Thank you. Very valuable.
Yeah, most definitely. I just, food is something that we have to deal with, even though we are spiritual beings, we're having this human experience, and we have to nourish ourselves and nourish our bodies. So I definitely have a nice kind of list here that I just want to rattle off a few from time to time and keep the conversation flowing.
Cool, man. Cool. Sweet. All right. Well, we do have a few more people who are actually in the queue, as it is, that I would like to be able to bring on. So with that said, we can either try literally just bringing people on, or we can have some people sub out and sort of sit on the bench for a bit. But for now, we'll just keep bringing more people on, and we'll decide whether or not it's crowded in a sense. But we just want to make sure everybody's getting a chance to talk like amongst each other. So thank you so much, everybody who's been a part of this. We have about 30 users in the live chat, which again is always just like a micro reflection of how many people are actually tuned in live. And there's actually there is like this whole sense of like sort of bonus energy that you get when you get to hear it live. So yeah, we want to make sure that if people have the opportunity to hear it live, that they still sync up with that opportunity. There's only an hour left in the show, so we'll make the most of it. I'm excited, and again, a reminder for the people who want to get in on the button draw for Paradigm Shift buttons. I'll post a link for that into live chat now to make it easy for you, but it's in the info for the show on Blog Talk also, and ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons. But again, send a link to Facebook.com/ParadigmShiftButtons to get into the draw for the shift buttons that we'll be giving away at the end of the show. And if anybody wants to donate to the community, sorry, I'm just multitasking here. If anybody wants to donate to the Paradigm Shift community, which helps support the production of the show, which basically is like the ability to keep this at a good production level so it's convenient for us to be able to share and listen to, then and to also to be able to support the whole button fund and the shirts and everything, then you can do that at GoFundMe.com/ParadigmShiftCentral or ParadigmShiftCentral.com/donate, or the community tip jar through the Facebook page. So it's all over the place. I just got to cover the basics with you. Thank you so much to everybody who is supporting this show, and that is the information for how you can continue to support it if you feel Paradigm Shift Radio is helping make this world a better place, which I think it is. So, you know, like that stuff that we can do by donating is an energetic vote in itself. So, yeah, I think that's just a simple way to look at it. So, again, we'll talk about that later in the show with the free shift buttons. That said, I'm going to bring on a caller from area code 425, and again, we'll keep doing our thing here with Paradigm Shift Radio, and yeah, see what happens next. That's the thing, like, who knows, like, one of these times, I'm just waiting for a person to call in and for them to convince me that they're like an alien or something like that, and then I'll be able to say that we had the first alien live on Paradigm Shift Radio, so that will happen. It's just a matter of time. All right, so we're going to bring on a caller from area code 425, and we'll see what they have to add. So caller from area code 425, bringing you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Yes, it's a female.
Yes, I can hear you.
I was asking for this. Perfect. Awesome. Caller, welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. What is your name, where are you calling from, and what would you like to bring to the show?
Hi, my name is Harmony Fronterhouse, and I'm calling from a town north of Seattle, Washington, called Everett.
Awesome. Harmony, welcome back to the show. You've been on the show. Have you been on the show? Yes.
I haven't made it on the show yet. I've called a couple times.
But you've won buttons.
No.
That's what you've done.
I won buttons, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love the buttons. Thank you.
No problem. Cool. Well, Harmony, welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. And yes, please continue. What is it you'd like to bring to this conversation circle?
Well, I really, first of all, I want to thank you guys, and first of all, you, Skull Babylon, Brendon, and the listeners and all of the guests that you've had. They're just amazing. Every show I've just had something amazing, some kind of revelation in my own thoughts, and I just really appreciate everything you do. So I also kind of want to touch back on what you were talking about with the clairvoyance topic. And I have been kind of thinking about this myself, about because I've always had a very strong intuition, but now that I'm learning more about how we're creating our own realities, I'm kind of wondering sometimes when I get intuitive feelings, like how much of it am I actually going to create, or how much of it am I actually creating as I am thinking it, you know? So that's just one thought that I had. And then all the shifty ideas are just been flowing in my head just since the last episode that you had, and talking about the different shifty kind of things that you're doing or that you can do, and it just really sparked my interest. So
cool. Awesome.
I have a few different things that I can bring to the conversation.
Yeah, I'd actually like to go back to what we were talking about. We mentioned it earlier, you know, like getting a report back from people, using the show to report back from people and hearing what shifty stuff they have been up to between each episode, so to speak. So whether those shifty things are like free hugs or like leaving a button somewhere and just like interacting with people. And to clarify, like I think of shifty things as like seed planting. So think of it as like,
Absolutely.
just like planting seeds that are going to grow and help everyone, sort of thing. So yeah, thought seeds is sort of the emphasis.
Absolutely.
So
well, even in a literal sense as well, with planting seeds, you're shifting the environment and shifting,
totally.
The future for our children and the 7 generations to come. So.
Absolutely. So please, Harmony, whatever it is you'd like to bring to the conversation, if there's anything you just want to, maybe if you have a question, that was one thing I wanted to put forward. If anybody wants to bring a question to the circle, we can talk about that. Or we could go back to anything, or we can talk about lucid dreaming or, the good stuff. So.
I haven't really thought of any good questions quite yet. But I do the shift buttons. I really enjoy giving away. I wish I had just hundreds of them to give to people, and it's really funny because sometimes I lose them, like they just pop off of my purse, or sometimes they pop off of my shirt that I'm wearing, and I'm like, oh, somebody special is going to find that and realize, and do their own research without me even picking the person. And other times I really enjoy, I have 3 children and under the age of 7, and they're all just amazing starseeds in themselves. But they also really enjoy giving them away and like picking the person that they get to give them to. And besides that, the sacred giveaway of giving other things, I think, is important to instill into our youth and our children.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I'm really glad to hear that the kids are having fun. Like you said, gifting the shift buttons, because they're super fun. So there, you heard it here. Paradigm shifts are good. They're good gifts for kids. Just don't let them stab themselves. That's all I'm saying. You gotta be dangerous with promoting buttons around young children. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. You gotta have the claws in there for protection.
Yeah, Harmony, please, if there's anything else you want just to share, going back to what I was asking originally, just the idea of like what shifty stuff people have been up to, if there's anything you want to share. I mean, that was already the buttons thing was part of it.
Yeah. So. Also, I think just doing things outdoors in public, like you guys give free hugs, but besides that, just like being yourself and living your own passion, kind of whether you play music, or I've seen street artists and different kind of people. I love to do yoga out in public. It kind of like shocks people. They're like, what's going on? And play my music. I play the Native American flute sometimes, and I just like go out in my front yard, and my neighbors are looking at me weird, but I don't care. I'm just like, oh, well, you gotta get exposed to it somehow. And that's part of like why we're here, to usher in the new age,
To do yoga on our front lawns, yeah. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I do yoga at the beach and things like that, and people are like, what the? And I think that playing music outdoors, it kind of gets people in that higher frequency where they're not thinking about their problems, and going back to the sacred giveaway, the children and I find so much more enjoyment in like giving things away to other people, and people are kind of shocked about it. No matter what it is that you give them, it kind of goes into that inspiration mode where they want to give other things to other people, and it's kind of like you said, the planting of the seed. It's really beautiful. And blessing and thanking things. I think even when we're not interacting with other people, when we're just interacting with the environment around us and shifting those own thoughts into, hold on one second. What, honey? I have just children.
No problem. Cool. I agree. I mean, it's really neat what she's hitting upon. As she's just checking back in, if one of your kids want to say hi?
Do you want to say hi?
Want to say hello to the internet?
At Paradigm Shift Radio?
They can jump on the radio. I'd love to hear what they think.
Say hi. Hello.
Hello, young child. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Do you enjoy those buttons? The buttons that your mom has?
Yes.
Cool. What's your favorite one? Do you have a wolf one?
The horse eye.
The horse eye. Nice. Good choice. Good choice. Awesome. Awesome. Cool, man.
Horses are my favorite thing.
Horse's eyes are your favorite thing. What does the horse eye mean to you? Like when you see it, what do you think about?
Like riding ponies and hugging ponies.
Did you say horses or did you say horse eye?
Horses.
Is there a horse's button? I don't. They're
awesome.
And unicorns.
Oh, okay. You like unicorns and horses. Cool, cool. I don't think there's a horse's button. Is there a horse's button, Harmony? There
is now.
There is now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Is he gone?
She's a wonderful child. She wants to draw.
Okay.
Yeah, she was done. She said.
Oh, that was
she
a girl?
said, I'm done. I'm going to draw. Yeah,
okay,
that was my daughter. Oh, that's okay.
I didn't ask for her name. I apologize. So.
Yeah,
she's
that
cute.
was Lily. Yeah,
Aw, Lily likes hugging ponies. Aw.
Yep, she loves horses. That's her totem. She's one of them.
That's her totem. Very cool. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, back to the shifty thinking in your own mentality. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do, because the interaction that we have with other things, like when we're thanking them and blessing them, that actually brings our frequency to the place where we're instantly manifesting, and just where the higher dimensions actually are, heaven on earth, or however you want to look at that. Also, just social interaction on social media, like Facebook and things like that, are also pretty important. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. You're still
okay.
here.
Sorry. Okay, and then I just thought somebody said, is they still there? So different things like that, Facebook and other social media. I just, within the past year, got involved with Facebook, and I really find it amazing, the people that you can contact and the posts that other people are giving. It kind of gives you that reassurance that, you're on the same lines as other people, and you're not, that far off from the norm of the ascension process.
Yeah, it's something I mentioned last episode. Just hitting upon like the. I was going to talk about cultural memes and stuff like that, but just you're right though. Like it's cool that we can sort of see that there is this crowd of people who are interested in all this consciousness shifting stuff on the internet. Like it's there, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like reassuring.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but if there's was there anything else you want to? Perfect. If anybody else, all right. Is there? Do you want to? We'll pass the stick around if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there anything anybody wants to jump in on, or if anybody else wants to even just like start a new topic or put forth a question or talk about lucid dreaming? We'll talk about lucid dreaming at some point. So.
I kind of just want to say goodnight because I'm about to lay down and catch some rest.
You're about to segue into the astral, yeah.
Yeah, before I go, I just want to leave you guys with a little bit more tips on healthy eating. One of the main foods that was recommended was asparagus for detoxification. So if you can get your hands on some asparagus, don't burn it. Try to steam it if you can. Really, really great for detoxing. Some other fun tips. Hair is a magnet for chi, so those of us hairy folks or people with long hair can kind of feel chi a little bit better, so I guess keep your hair long if you want to feel more chi. Something else that was really funny, onion juice is good for your hair. If you want to make your hair grow, pour onion juice on your head, which was really, really funny. Other than that, I think I'm going to head out and bless you guys so much for the show. I'm going to continue listening, but I'm kind of winding down for the night, and hopefully I will lucid dream. And, I don't know, fly on top of a mountain or fight a dragon or something. That would be fun.
All right, man. Well, if listening to Paradigm Shift Radio and falling asleep while listening to it helps you lucid dream, then that'll be awesome to hear. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well,
cool,
thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening about the food and stuff, and I hope you guys can practice it a little bit.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, Adriano. Appreciate hearing from you, man.
Good night, you guys. Good night.
All right. Enjoy. See you around.
Good night.
Cool. Oh, is another small human there? Do I hear them running around? Yes.
Yes, there's always one around.
There's always one. They're welcome to say hello if they want.
He's just 2 and he's wanting to nurse. So
he's just 2. All right. I guess that's an excuse.
Well, yeah, he's got a little bit less interest in the telephone right now.
Understood. Cool. Well, we have another caller on, and I'd like to, or in the queue, sorry, that I'd like to be able to bring on, and that caller is caller from area code 407, and if they're ready, they're queued up, we can bring them on. And then there's also another caller from area code 541, but they are not in the queue, and if they want to be on the queue, press 1 on your keypad. And there's also a caller from Skype, GELENESP, Gelen ESP or Gelen ESP. If they want to be brought on, press 1 on your Skype pad, but we may try bring them on anyways, because Skype's kind of hard to tell them sometimes. But anyways, so with that said, thank you again so much for everybody for being part of this. We have 33 users in the live chat. That's what it is. So magic number once again. And we're going to bring on the next caller from area code 407. We're going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello, caller. Welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio.
This is Aaron Galloway Jr. I went ahead and added you a while ago, and been talking about lucid dreaming and a lot of that other stuff, and been super interested, and it's a pleasure to be on your show, just to point out.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I saw you put up a comment. You're just like you're coming on to talk about lucid dreaming, so that timed up nicely. Perfect. Well, first of all, just for people interested, just sort of say where you're calling from, and then please talk about lucid dreaming as much as you want.
I'm calling from Orlando, Florida, and it's funny because they were talking about deja vu earlier, and I've realized that I've always been a lucid dreamer, probably since the age of 5 years old. I can remember dreams going back that far. And for me, it was one of those things to where my deja vu came from dreams that I used to have back in the day. I remember when I was a younger kid drawing a picture of this house, this random house that I had in this dream. And when I was 19, I ended up going to a wedding, and I told my father to pull over. And the same house that I had drawn out with the same backyard, the same everything, was on the side of the road. My mom remembered it. It was absolutely crazy. So my deja vu comes from dreams that I've had. So that's one of the crazy things when it comes down to it. I noticed that for my lucid dreams, though, they're usually indicators of specific things going on in my life at specific times. So they'll give me messages or pre-warnings onto what is going to happen or where it can go. As for lucid dreaming for me.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, again, keeping within the theme of lucid dreaming, I would like to be able to just play around in that sandbox for a little bit. Aaron, is there more just in terms of practical tips, what practical tips could you share for people listening who are interested in experience? Well, that's the thing though, what's your practice like? Do you still have lucid dreams fairly regularly? What's your frequency like?
I lucid dream every night. There's not too many nights that I do not control the dream on which I go in. When it started, I'm going to say that remembering how I did it, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I remember watching Superman as a kid. And I remember going to bed, and the Superman theme song was playing over and over again in my head. It was just like on auto repeat. And I remember going to sleep, and I'm standing outside of my house in this dream, and I was wearing a white shirt, and I ripped my shirt open. I could see the letter S just like on my shirt. So I went ahead and ripped the shirt open, and I realized that I could fly in the dream. So I went ahead and jumped in the air, and I started flying. So I noticed that programming your mind before you go to sleep is a big indicator on how you can either step into dream world to where you can actually remember your dreams later on. And for me, that was a form of self-hypnosis that I wasn't consciously aware of at the time because I was too young to really know what hypnosis was. But that was my mind sort of preempting me to go ahead and get into that mind state to go ahead and have that dream. So I noticed that before I go to sleep, what I usually do is I will think about things that either I need the universe to give me information for, or things that, or different things that I just want to do in my dreams. And it's not all the time that I can control them 100%, but majority of the time I can.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because I've heard of other people who have had the same situation as you, where they by default like lucid dream more often than not. So I mean, it's kind of interesting just the experience that you've chosen for yourself there. I would like to sort of pass the stick around, but just passing back to you, Aaron, before we do that, what do you feel like? Is there anything that you feel that you could share with us that you've like experienced that maybe just like very like enlightening from having had such experience with lucid dreams? Like, well, this one time I was talking to this multidimensional being, ... because that's the things that can happen. Is kind of my point. You can really start exploring these like cosmic realms where there are there's ways to access and like communicate with like other intelligences, which is a very interesting thing. But yeah, Aaron, anything you feel that you can sort of share insight?
The funny thing with me is that I the other day I had just gone through a job transition, and my mother came to eat at the restaurant with me, and I had a dream prior to her coming to the restaurant. In the dream, I remember that there were 3 tornadoes that were going on at the same time, and I remember being in this apartment complex, and I ran into the house, and there was this little corner that was in this air vent, and it turned into a dark room. In the dark room, I went up, and it went upstairs, and my landlord was there, and the landlord, we had a minor conversation, and she opened up this chest, and in the chest was this old money. This old money was dispersed to the people at my job, and then I ended up getting a little piece of that, and then it was like the tornado hit. I was able to go through it, but I knew that it was a pretty traumatic thing. So what I usually do is I will wake up from a dream, and I will evaluate what goes on and look at the situation and try to see what message that has to bring. Discerning what goes on in dreams is a very important thing once you do have them, once you wake up immediately, is to see what message did this have to do. Well, while I was speaking to her, I said I think that there's going to be a lot of changes in my life coming up shortly, that it's not going to be necessarily the best thing. And after the conversation, literally 2 hours after that, I ended up getting let go of my job. And it was just so funny. She was like, you just told me about this. And I was just like, yeah, I know. And that's how a lot of the time the dreams speak to me. It's not necessarily on a level to where I speak to other beings, but it comes to me more through, I guess, pictures and themes, and trying to decode that for myself,
Cool. All right, just passing the talking stick around. Anybody else on topic of dreams? And thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely. My when I have dreams that are lucid, it usually starts out, and that's when I have the dream that I'm flying, and then I realize, okay, I can't fly in the third dimensional reality in the physical plane, so I must be dreaming, and that's the thought form that I have. And then as soon as that happens, then I have control over how I can fly, and I can kind of teleport and transport as well into like different, if I feel like I'm in a fearful situation or like somebody's chasing me, I could all of a sudden just like turn invisible or pop into a different place, or actually like transform, like on Merlin where they would transform into a different creature, like shape-shifting. And I don't have as many lucid dreams as much anymore since I've had kids, because I don't get as much sleep. But when I do, they're really, really profound, and I go and I teach a lot in different schools, and I meet up with different people that I've haven't met until like after I dream about them, and then all of a sudden I meet somebody and I'm like, oh my gosh, I recognize you from somewhere, but I know it wasn't this life, and
exactly.
I'm like, it must be the astral realm. And it's really quite amazing. I had this dream about 2 years ago where I was in the house that I'm at now, and a friend of ours was in our house, and he's like, you guys, look, I can fly. And he all of a sudden started floating up like the flying dreams that I've always had, how you kind of like are leaded by your chest and in your heart. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And then all of a sudden I started flying, and my husband was like, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And we were all just like floating around the living room. And then I was telling our friend about it. He's like, yeah, I think I remember that. And so we were obviously both in the same training course, or however you want to look at it. That's one thing I think when we're dreaming, sometimes it gives us the opportunity to do things and learn lessons on the other plane without having to actually go through with it on the physical plane.
For sure.
And so that's kind of my input on there. Those are things that sparked in my head when he was talking about lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just to throw in a quick idea. That's how I've always thought that dreams are incredibly valuable. There's so much that we can learn from them, and it's obvious that it seems to be that each time, like, these dreams, they're simulations in a sense, but that doesn't make the simulation anything less that you can experience and learn from. So it's like, yes, like, you want to like go through this, and it's not just whether the experience is actually like tangible, because that's the thing. Like within the dream, you can sort of bend it around. It can get quite different. It can get quite very trippy and dreamlike, obviously. But it's more so like, what emotions is it what is it bringing out of us? What is it showing within our character? Again, I'd love to hear what more people have to say about dreams. Harmony, if there's more you want to say. If not, I was going to suggest just handing Michael, I'd be curious to hear what you had to say, and then we'll keep passing it around. But Harmony, was there something?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
That was it? Okay, cool. Thank you, Harmony. So we'll pass over to Michael for now.
Yeah, so dreams are pretty powerful for giving us insights into our intuition as well, because our intuition will sometimes speak to us through our dreams. So like we talked about before with precognition and premonition, we'll get those impressions through our dreams. And we can even ask questions of our intuition before we go to sleep. So one of the techniques you can do is write the question on a piece of paper and put it under your pillow, or to just imprint the suggestion on yourself, I will remember my dreams, I will remember my dreams. And when you wake up, first thing you should do is write down those dreams or record them on a recorder somehow. Another technique to train yourself to get to lucidity within the dream space is to practice doing it in your daydreaming. So active daydreaming is a technique that Carl Jung used. His Red Book is a really good example of what you can do when you actively engage that dream space. But the dream landscape tends to be the same, whether we are in full loss of consciousness when we go to sleep, and when we're doing it in that space of just kind of slightly drifting away from what's right in front of us and allowing ourselves to be slightly more open to that space. So it's a way you can start to program yourself to do it once you fall asleep. So, I mean, there's so many different ways to Robert Monroe, some of his books are really great because he was one of the godfathers of lucid dreaming. So reading up on it and actually practicing, I think that's the thing we forget is we got to practice this stuff. We don't necessarily ride our bikes the first time, and we crash and we fall. We might not get it. And sometimes people give up right about the point when you're about to do that thing. You stop doing it because you get frustrated that it's not happening right away. So keep getting back on the bike, keep practicing, keep trying new things, keep evolving what it is that you're doing. Don't give up. This stuff is fascinating, and there are thousands of ways to do it. There's no one way to get there. Some of us come in from birth being able to do this stuff, and some of us got to learn it along the way. But whatever your method is, don't stop practicing, and keep a journal so that lets you know what you're building on. A lot of us forget that journaling is one of the most powerful spiritual tools we can use because it lets us track our journey, and it lets us see what's working, what needs to evolve, and what we may need to let go of so that something else can be brought in. So writing down your dreams, writing down the lucid experiences you're having, writing down the people you're meeting in those dreams so that when you meet them in real life, or you can program, like, if I'm going to go have a dream tonight and I can do a program dream with Skull and we're both going to go do this thing, and then we both come back, we write down our landscapes and we share with each other what we saw, and you can see shared experiences that way. So you can do that with others. So collectively doing that with other people. So if you're in a little shift community, you can all program to do a dream like on a full moon. That night you guys can all go to a certain location in the dreamscape, write it down when you come back, and then at your next shift meeting, share your experiences. And it's really cool to see what can happen when you really start diving in, experimenting, and becoming a consciousness scientist,
Yeah,
fun
like
stuff.
that's like fun, and it's also quite advanced in the sense that people got to be on their game collectively in order to make that work. And I think that's something that all of us, just being on our game is something that all of us are always working on all the time. And definitely with the lucid dreaming thing, I can say for certain that the dream journal is such an important thing. And it was funny just the way how you said, just beyond the dream journal, how you just said, like, the dream, like the journal is a way for us to track our journey. And I'm just like, what? Like, I've never thought of journal as like the journey, a journey or journal. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the words in it, the phonetics is there. And but definitely a dream journal. So valuable because like the less you use a dream journal, the less likely you'll feel that you need to use one, or that you will start using one. So it's in the same sense that it is a practice. It's something that, like, the more you do it, the more you'll want to do it, because the more that you'll actually be able to benefit from the practice of doing it. And part of the practice of the dream journal is to like flex that dream memory recall. So I mean, practical tip, when you're trying to remember your dreams, don't jump out of bed in the morning. Like, take an extra second to like lay still in bed and have the pen and paper nearby so that you can write it down. But like, even before you write it down, literally just taking a couple breaths, because the moment you sort of just jump out of bed and start moving, that's the moment where the very, like, the precious connection between our current waking memory, like this 3D memory, and our dream memory is like this, like, delicate, like, connection that can be easily not like severed in a sense, like more just like you disconnect like the cable from the port, sort of, you pull it out, and then like it's not there for the majority. But like, when you think about it that way, that there's like a cloud of our dream memories, and then there's also a cloud of our waking memories, and the idea is to like be able to like have access to both more readily. But it's also the idea that I think it's super cool, because it's the idea that like anything that you dreamt is like still existing. It's still there. It's like data and a memory within our dream cloud that theoretically we could like regain access to. So I mean, thinking of the brain as a computer metaphor, just like, routing ourselves towards different files and running different programs, just accessing different parts of our hard drives and stuff. I've always there's a reason why like our technology looks like us, and it's because it is us. So when you think of, the micro macro again, as above so below. So but we'd have there's a couple of people who we do have on Skype. I'd like to be able to bring them on, and just as a touching base, there's only about 26 minutes left in the show, and that's awesome, because things have been flowing along nicely. And again, thank you to everybody for being a part of this. And we'll do the button draw closer to the end, and we'll end with like just a meditation thing, and Michael might be able to Michael, would you like to lead us into that?
Yeah, do that.
If you could do
Absolutely.
something? Sure.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks. Awesome. So still on the topic of lucid dreaming, Sherman, is there anything that you would like to add on the topic of lucid dreaming?
Well, I just know, for me personally, just kind of actually to piggyback off of what you just said, I always find it a lot easier to get into a dream state that's more easily remembered when, I guess, I wake up and then go back to sleep, kind of in that half waking, half sleep state already. I find it a lot easier to slip back into a deeper sleep that I tend to remember a little better than if I am just to, sleep through the entire night, wake up, and then, continue on versus waking up, then going back to sleep for a little bit, seeing what happens, and then, waking up and continuing.
Yeah, that's also another technique, is that you can sort of do that in the middle of the night. The old you wake up in the middle of the night, and then you just being awake for a bit, and then you go back to sleep to try and consciously go back into the dream. So I mean, the real trick that I think all of us should be trying to do every night, instead of just trying to fall asleep, try to consciously bring your waking awareness into the dream space, as you make that transition. Because I mean, that's the thing, if you can do that, if you can focus in on your breath and then just keep focusing on that, and then as you're doing that, your body starts to fall asleep, and then you actually, while still awake, while still on your breath, you notice the transition of your body going into that sleep state, and that's where you sort of see what is often not seen. You experience what is often not experienced, because normally our consciousness, by our robotic default, puts us into that sleep mode where we don't do that. We don't see it, but it's totally there. It's just a matter of consciousness. And it's really interesting, because there's actually a visceral sensation that if you were to try this, if you were to try just meditating on your breath and try to maintain a wakeful awareness as your body transitions into sleep, you'll notice a specific point where you can really feel there's sort of you feel as if you sink, you sort of fall, or it feels like you're sort of being pulled, you're sort of lifted, but it feels like it's sort of it happens, and it kind of moves through the body. And it's right at that moment as we're sort of beginning to fall into that dream space. And then if you can go past that, if you can go past that event horizon consciously without it even freaking you out sort of thing, because sometimes it could freak you out and you just wake up. But if you can sort of ride it, then you can sort of segue right into an astral projection, which would be more of the accurate term. Because I mean, an astral projection, just to clarify, my idea of it is that an astral projection is the practice intention of going from the waking state into the dream state, into a lucid dream. And then, whereas lucid dreaming could just be waking up into a dream halfway after, hours after you fell asleep, sort of thing. So that's just something that I would like to add to that conversation. But if somebody else has something to add, go ahead.
Can I piggyback on that one?
Yeah, by all means, man. Go ahead.
Okay, what you were just talking about, there's a technique that I did when I was younger, and it was something that it sort of freaked me out, because this went on for a cycle of probably, I'd say, about a month and a half. But what would happen is I would close my eyes, and as I closed my eyes, there would be a point, almost where the third eye would be. And it would be out in the distance, and there would be this ring. There would be this cloud that would sort of come towards my forehead. And with my eyes closed and seeing this ring, I would try and draw it into myself. And as I kept doing this, I noticed that the ring would start moving faster and faster, and it would get thicker and thicker. As the ring started getting thicker and the movement started becoming faster, my body would start to vibrate. And with the vibration, there would start becoming this ring that would happen in my ear, and the ring would get louder and louder. And I remember that it would get so scary, because it was almost like I couldn't move. I could not. It was almost overwhelming. It was to the point to where I didn't know what was going to happen, because it was I've never experienced this before in my life. I don't know what to do. And then I wake up. And at one point, I just sort of let it go. I just was okay, I'm just going to let this go. And I remember literally rolling out of my body and hovering and looking back. And with my astral hand, I could see the outline of my hand. And I'm okay, wow, this is actual astral projection. And it's only happened to me a few times, but it's definitely a technique that I found very effective in doing that.
Cool. Yeah, and that's the idea. There's so many techniques out there, but the idea that's super interesting about them is that they can almost be looked at as a science. So, we sort of work with the ones that work, kind of thing. That's where dream yoga. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with dream, and I know we can do that again more so on future episodes. But just passing the talking stick around. Anybody, or Aaron, was there more on that? Because I'd love to hear.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
No,
if anybody else,
anybody else, go ahead and let them.
Anybody else want to jump in?
So I had a thought about basically the pineal gland and how it regulates the melatonin and the serotonin levels, but it also regulates the DMT levels when we go to sleep and also when we die. And so maybe that is the feeling has a correlation also to the DMT being dumped into our brains.
I think you're onto something there. That is, I have had that intuitive thought, like, yeah. Because like there's similar experiences where you can sort of get. I've talked about this, like even with like open-eyed meditation and stuff. This is almost a theory, but like with open-eyed meditation, if you're in enough stillness and you're like in the zone, it gets to the point where like I think your brain is secreting like DMT, which is like activating what can be described as psychedelic visuals while just in like a sober state, and then when we move. Within the third eye, like it's activating that, and then when we move in the same way that, like I said earlier, when we get out of bed, we forget the dream. It shakes us right out of it. Like that's what happens when we're meditating and we're like secreting it just there. If we like move it, we'll like sort of like lose it. It sort of like shakes it loose, kind of thing. That's my best guess. Like the natural production of DMT that we can experience. That's my idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, Harmony.
Also, I was thinking. Oh no, that's awesome interaction. So I was also thinking about when you were talking about how it's kind of a training field and a simulation in a way that quantum science and quantum reality explains that it's more important what we perceive than what we're actually going through in physical reality. Because everyone has their own perception, but in the astral plane, like you said, we kind of are going through the motions and the lessons in that perception, or in that sense, that we are having the feelings and actually perceiving these to be real. And in some cases, I actually mistake actual memories with things, and I'm like, do you remember when that happened? And they're like, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, that must have been a dream. And so that's when I know sometimes. I don't even remember that it was a dream until I bring up the thing, and I'm like, you mean that that had to have been a dream? I don't even remember dreaming that, Sometimes I have that kind of thing. And so it's that real that I think that it has to, have a effect on our psyche at a quantum level, and we can like rewrite our memories, or actually write memories according to how we want when we're more lucid as well.
Yeah, we can be learning at every moment of the day instead of just when we're like awake sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Optimize like our human potential to learn and experience as cosmic citizens.
Right.
Totally. Right on.
Yeah, and then
Michael,
one more thing about
dreaming.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, it was the herbs and crystals that we can use to enhance our abilities to be able to have lucid dreaming in our dream experiences. And I know that some people that I've talked to, especially recently, I haven't ever heard of this until the past year, but there's African dream root. And I know some people that I know that have been involved in lucid dreaming for a long time, and they've been taking this. They're like, I have lucid dreams every day. And I haven't tried it yet, but I have a little plant growing that a friend of mine gave me a start of, so I thought that was a sign that I'm supposed to take it. And also crystals, if you set up a crystal grid around your bed, it really helps. Certain crystals amplify certain things more. And also selenite, I found, is really great.
Awesome.
Because, I just love it. It's really clearing and helps bring in really high frequencies. So that was my addition on the dreaming aspect.
Cool. Yeah, that's something people can experiment with too. You just, take it for what you will, but placement of crystals, or even just, I was playing around with that where I had a flat selenite piece that I bought that I could place over my third eye on my forehead, just as a scientist, as an experiment, sort of see like how it would work. And it's selenite itself. Those of you familiar, selenite as a crystal, it's very interesting because it's like super fragile, which makes it like extra precious in the sense that you have to pay attention to it. So it's really interesting, or else like, if you're not paying attention, you'll break your selenite. I think that's something that, people are familiar with. Yeah. Thanks, Harmony. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we got about 15 minutes left in the show, guys and girls. So let's continue just for a bit more. And I just again on the topic of lucid dreaming still, Michael or whoever, was there anything? Even just going back to like the tryptamine. If anybody wants to go back to the topic of like the tryptamines and stuff, that's super interested. So.
Well, something else with dreams too that I think is an interesting point. A teacher of mine suggested reading Yogananda, and he makes an interesting link into falling asleep and dreaming, because a lot of people have issue with understanding how reincarnation works, and the way he explained it, he used sleep and dream as a really great way to encapsulate this. And the thought is that every time you go to sleep, you're technically dying from this reality for however long you're asleep, and then you reincarnate into some other reality, and that dreamscape is this other place. It could be another dimension you're stepping into. This other being is now awake in that space, and then that cycle closes, and then you come back to this world again. So you're technically reincarnating each time you go to sleep and you wake up again. So it's an interesting way to link that into things like reincarnation, and when we are sleeping and dreaming, we're entering into these other really fascinating places. And the neat thing about dreams is who's observing the dream, because you're sleeping, so technically you're disconnected from whatever's happening in that space. So now the software is running, but you're not part of that process. So something is viewing the dream, and that's when we start diving into that deep consciousness stuff. But sleep and dream is a great way to start exploring spirituality, because it's something we all hopefully do. So hopefully you're sleeping at least. Yeah.
May I interject really quickly?
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed is that I had a vision or dream, I guess, when I was younger, and I've noticed that dealing with spiritual battles when you're in dreams, I was faced with demonic presence when I was dreaming, and I had to call out on something higher than myself. And when I did that, I noticed that there was a sense of dominion over the spirit, and that spirit ended up getting injured, and I was able to gain this strength or this energy in this dream that transcended outside of dream world. So when I was faced with the situation that I was dealing with on a regular, normal basis, before I was able to even say something when I was dealt with a spiritual battle, I spoke out the same thing I spoke out in a dream. Subconsciously, it just came out of my mouth, and the situation ended. And it was one of those things to where if you're able to conquer, I noticed stuff in dreams in the subconscious level, it carries to the conscious level as well. So that's another thing just to add that I've noticed for myself.
Cool. Sorry, was there more to that?
No, I'll leave it at that, because it goes into something very deep. It was like I said, I dealt with dreams, and my parents wanted to send me to a psychiatrist when I was younger, because I would always dream and have nightmares and go through a lot of things. I would wake up. I would have dreams to where I would wake up and I would be awake and realize that I was in another dream. So it was almost like the inception. I was going through, it would happen 3 or 4 times a night, to where I couldn't differentiate the difference between dream world and reality, because it all sort of melded into the same thing. So there was a level of fear, because because it was so real for me. I just didn't understand when I was younger. So it took a lot of playing around with dreams. It took a lot of understanding and going through specific things, to where now those nightmares are no longer existent. I'm able to control more in the dreamscape and get more messages. And now, in going back to writing a dream journal, it's very important to do that, because a lot of the times, looking back at situations that you're going through in your life, your dreams will sort of they'll reconfigure the same dream scenario, but have you go through the same thing, and you have to create a different outcome. So it's like, are you aware of what's going on? Is this something that you have either learned from, or is it something that you're going to repeat again? Those are certain things that I've noticed that during journaling, I'll go back and I'm like, man, I've been in the same place before. So, okay, at what age was I really going through this? What was going on in that situation? how did I handle that situation in the conscious world, and what did I learn from that, and what can I change from that going forward to this? So those are just some of the things that I've noticed in my dream state.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, man. I mean, that's that's quite intense to hear. Just as a reminder of the fact of what experiences could come our way. Just more, I'm just thinking more so for like young kids, like you said. Obviously it made you into who you are today. But I mean, just to be younger and to just be like having such a questionable, but things that would just make you sort of. I'm the young indigo kids of today, or just any of the youth of today. What is their veil of perception like? Is what I'm curious of. How is that going to change over time, sort of thing, and what can we do, again, to sort of like help create a society where a kid's going to be like, mommy, I had like this crazy dream. And the mom will actually like want to listen to the kid instead of just being like, oh, it's just a dream, don't worry about it, sort of thing. Or that's a reality I sort of see the potential to exist within in some point or another. So 9:06 left in the show, and good synchronicity. Sorry, what was that? Harmony, go ahead.
I said it already exists. I listen to my children's dreams every day, and I was just blown away. It's really amazing. So it's already there.
Perfect. All right, it's happening. It's happening. Woo. Cool. All right, so we only got 8 minutes left in the show. I'm going to do the button draw as it is now, and then we're going to go into our meditation, and then we'll wrap up from there. So, again, the buttons, the paradigm shift buttons, you've heard so much about them. Those of you who aren't familiar, check out and place your order at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons, and you can also use the promo code PSR for bonus buttons to your order, and I'll post a link for that in the live chat also. And again, they're super awesome, and they're tools to use as something that can evoke synchronicity within the matrix that will help you meet new friends and build community where you are, and give people something that they can, because that's the thing, when you give a person a button, you're not just giving them like a button, you're giving them a button with a website which connects them to Paradigm Shift Central. So that button is like the entire radio show archive, plus it's like the entire Journey to Lucidity movies, plus it's like any of the videos, plus it's the opportunity for them to get connected and to be here with us on Paradigm Shift Radio, where we have such an awesome time, don't we, everyone? 1111 in the live chat, if you had an awesome time, yay! So, and actually, I'll say right now, guys, just while I'm doing this to multitask, post your profiles, your Facebook profiles, into your live chat, into the live chat now, to be added. And if you're in the future, you can still post in the comments on Blog Talk or in YouTube, either one. So, that said, this week's winner for the shift buttons are is Mars. Oh, nice. Mars is actually one of our admins in Paradigm Shift Toronto, and I know she'll be able to use those buttons very nicely, so congratulations to Mars. She'll get a message from me about that. And with that said, just thanking everybody for being a part of this episode. Thank you so much. And once you're done listening to it, please feel free to share it again and share that YouTube version of it too. That always helps. The show is a tool for us to share, to shift consciousness. And feel free to just drop some coin into the community tip jar if you can, and I'll pass that around just as Michael gets, or we'll do that. Anyways, you'll find a link for that. You know where to find a link for that. But with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Michael so that he can do his thing. So with that said, I'll mute everybody else, and we'll bring it back within the last minute. And we'll say goodbye after that. So, Michael, everybody else is muted, and I have music that I can play, so just let me know when you want me to play the music, if you want to do that. So. Yeah,
we can go ahead, and you can start music whenever you want. We just talk everyone right into it.
All right, okay, go ahead, start talking. I'm finding the music. It's for anybody interested, YouTube Merlin Magic to hear this meditation music on YouTube. So, because I know some people were asking, so this is this one. We've heard it before. It's familiar, so that's why it works. So, Merlin Magic. So, go ahead, Michael. Give us share some of that magic with us. So.
Let's do it. So, just take a moment now to come into your breath and settle into wherever you are. Bring awareness to the space around you. Allow yourself to connect in to the room, to the spaciousness of wherever you are. Allow yourself now to bring your awareness to the breath. Feel the inhale as it moves down deep into the body. And feel the exhale as it expands out into the space around you. Continue breathing, centering in on this moment, being present in your presence. And just allow yourself to be here now for the next few moments.
All right, so just gently bringing yourself back out of that one. Wasn't sure if Michael was going to segue this.
Yeah. I thought I was.
Sorry.
I was muted when you
were
unmuted
muted.
Me, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I muted
Figured
myself.
something was up.
I did it telepathically, so we're all still here.
Yeah, so 90 seconds left on the show. Let me just bring on Bonnie and bring Sherman back on and shout out to everybody who's been a part of this episode tonight. And yeah, just reminding everybody we'll do the after party hangout, and you'll find a link for that at the facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio. And just with that said, we got about a minute left, so does anybody else got anything they just want to mention out there to the internet? Inspiration and love?
Peace, love, and light always.
You are loved, you are beautiful, and you are all divine.
That's Michael's catchphrase, for those who didn't know. So says it all the time.
Yeah.
Harmony was
we are the ones we've been waiting for.
There we go. Awesome stuff, guys. So again, just continue to go out there, exercise, get some fresh air. That's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Find a practice that works for you. Create your own practice. Get creative. And, eat healthy. And write in your dream journal. And go do some shifty stuff. And go make some friends. Build the tribe. Build community. And until next time, we'll see you back here around the fire pit for another awesome episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. So everybody join me in saying farewell to the internet. Until next time. So
bye, internet.
Bye, internet.
Bye, be well.
Thanks for coming.
Blessings. Namaste.
Blessed be.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. Love. Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you would like to connect with people where you are and continue the conversations further, then check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons to order your supply of shift buttons to share with people to help invite them to this global project while also helping make new friends and building local community where you are. Shift buttons are tools to hack the matrix and tap into the synchronistic nature of reality to accelerate our collective awakening. Enter the promo code PSR into your order to receive additional bonus buttons to your supply. Thank you again, and one love.